Powerful habits of women who attract high-value men. They own their worth. Listen, if you don't see your value, no one else will. High-value men aren't attracted to women who second-guess themselves. Confidence is magnetic. Know your worth, act accordingly, and don't settle for crumbs. They set clear boundaries. Say it with me. No is a full sentence. Women who attract quality partners don't tolerate disrespect, mixed signals, or situationships. They communicate what they want and stick to it, period. They have a full life already. Newsflash, no one wants to be your whole world, and you shouldn't want that either. High-value men are drawn to women who have passions, friendships, and goals outside of a relationship. Be a whole person first. They prioritize their energy. You can't attract greatness if your energy is drained from chasing the wrong people. These women don't entertain time wasters, drama kings, or emotionally unavailable guys. They know their energy is precious. They lead with feminine strength. This isn't about being weak or submissive. It's about embracing the power of grace, confidence, and emotional intelligence. High-value men respect and cherish women who know how to be strong and soft when needed. They don't chase. They attract. Say it louder. The right man will pursue you. These women don't beg for attention or prove their worth. They show up as their best selves and let the right man recognize it. Desperation. Not in their vocabulary. They stay on their own path. They don't lose themselves in relationships. Their dreams, career, and personal growth always come first. A great man complements their journey. He doesn't define it. They demand consistency. A man who is serious about you shows it through actions, not just words. These women don't fall for sweet talk and empty promises. They watch for follow-through and they walk away when they don't get it. They know how to receive. High-value men love to give, protect, and provide. These women let them. They don't try to prove they can do it all alone. They graciously accept love, kindness, and support because they deserve it. They believe in themselves first. If you don't believe you're worthy of a high-value man, you'll settle for less. These women hold themselves to high standards in every area of life, love included. Bottom line, you attract what you are. Show up as the best version of yourself, and you'll naturally draw in the right kind of man. Now go own your power. If you don't believe in yourself, why would anyone else? The energy you bring into the room dictates how people treat you. Walk like you belong, talk like you have something valuable to say, and act like you are the prize, because you are. The second you start questioning your worth, you give other people permission to do the same. And guess what? They will. Stop waiting for someone else to validate you. No one is coming to hand you a certificate that says, congratulations, you're finally good enough. That moment happens when you decide it does. Confidence isn't something you find, it's something you build one small decision at a time. High-value men don't chase insecurity. They're not drawn to women who constantly apologize for existing, who second-guess themselves, or who shrink to make others comfortable. They're attracted to women who walk into a room with presence, who own their space, who radiate self-assurance without arrogance. That energy is intoxicating. If you want to attract a man who values you, you have to first value yourself. That means no more settling for half-hearted effort, mixed signals, or relationships that leave you feeling drained instead of fulfilled. When you know what you bring to the table, you don't waste time begging someone to sit down. You teach people how to treat you by what you tolerate. If you keep accepting breadcrumbs, that's all you'll ever get. If you keep making excuses for men who don't show up for you, they'll keep disappointing you. Raise your standards and watch how quickly the wrong people disappear and the right ones step up. Confidence isn't about perfection. It's about showing up even when you feel uncertain. It's about knowing that your value isn't tied to how much attention you get, how many people approve of you, or whether a man chooses you. You choose yourself first, always. There's nothing more powerful than a woman who fully believes in herself, not just when she's dressed up, feeling her best, or getting compliments, but on the hard days, the messy days, the days when she could easily fall back into self-doubt but doesn't. That's what separates women who settle from women who attract the best. Owning your worth means setting the tone in your relationships. It means you don't chase, you don't beg, and you don't tolerate anything that contradicts the respect you deserve. It means you are willing to walk away because you trust that what's meant for you will never require you to shrink yourself. You want to be treated like a queen? Then stop acting like a pawn. You don't need to prove your worth to anyone. You don't need to convince someone to see your value. You are valuable just as you are. The moment you start believing that, everything changes. Confidence isn't loud. It's not arrogant. It's quiet, steady, and unshakable. It's walking into every situation knowing, I belong here. It's no longer asking, am I good enough, but stating, I know I am. And that right there is the mindset that attracts not just high-value men, but a high-value life. Boundaries are not about controlling others, they're about protecting yourself. When you set a standard, you're telling the world, this is how I expect to be treated. And if someone can't respect that, they're showing you exactly why they don't deserve access to you. Simple. The biggest mistake people make, thinking boundaries will scare the right man away. No. Boundaries only scare off the wrong ones, the ones who are never planning to respect you in the first place. A high-value man doesn't see boundaries as a challenge. He sees them as a sign of self-respect. Saying no doesn't require an explanation. If you don't like something, if it doesn't align with your values, if it drains you instead of elevates you, no is enough. Stop over-explaining, stop justifying, stop worrying about how the other person will react. The right people will respect your decisions without a debate. You don't have to tolerate inconsistency. A man who texts you when he feels like it disappears for days and then expects you to be available when he resurfaces? No, mixed signals are a signal. A man who truly values you makes it clear through actions, not just words. A boundary isn't just what you say, it's what you enforce. If you tell someone you won't accept disrespect but keep letting it slide, your words mean nothing. Real boundaries come with consequences. If someone crosses the line, you don't argue. You don't beg. You don't make a speech. You simply walk away. Love is not built on sacrifice. You do not have to shrink, bend, or betray yourself to make a relationship work. A high-value partner doesn't expect you to compromise your standards for them. They rise to meet you. If they're not willing to, they were never your person. Stop feeling guilty for protecting your peace. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your time, energy, or emotions. Just because someone wants something from you doesn't mean you have to give it. Prioritizing yourself isn't selfish, it's survival. Not everyone deserves your vulnerability. Not everyone earns the right to know your deepest thoughts, your softest parts, your biggest dreams. Pay attention to who is consistent, not just who is charming. A person's real intentions show up over time, not in their words, but in their patterns. A woman who knows her worth doesn't wait for someone to decide if she's valuable. She doesn't chase, she doesn't beg, and she definitely doesn't negotiate her standards just to keep someone around. She sets the bar and lets the right man meet her there. Your boundaries will upset some people. Good. That means they were the ones benefiting from you not having any. The right people, they'll respect you more because of them. So set your standards. Hold the line. And don't apologize for expecting what you deserve. A relationship should add to your life, not be your life. If your entire world revolves around a man, you're setting yourself up for disappointment. A high-value man isn't looking for someone to complete him. He's looking for someone who's already whole. Desperation is repellent. When you make someone your sole source of happiness, you put pressure on them to fulfill you in ways they never signed up for. That's not love, it's emotional dependency. And trust me, that's a heavy burden no one wants to carry. Having your own life isn't about being unavailable, it's about being interesting. What are you passionate about? What lights you up? What are you working toward? A man who values himself will be drawn to a woman who has her own sense of purpose, not one who waits around for him to text. If you drop everything for a man the second he shows up, you're telling him that your time isn't valuable. The moment you put your friends, your hobbies, and your dreams on the back burner for a relationship, you lose the spark that made you attractive in the first place. High-value women don't orbit around a man's schedule. They have things to do, places to be, and goals to chase. They're not sitting by the phone waiting. They're living their lives, and if a man wants to be part of it, he'll have to make an effort to keep up. A confident, fulfilled woman doesn't need constant reassurance. She's not panicked if a man takes a little space because she's not relying on him to fill the gaps in her self-worth. When you love your life, you're naturally less anxious about where a relationship is headed. You're just enjoying the ride. The most attractive thing you can be is a woman with options, not just in love, but in life. A woman who has choices, who could go anywhere, do anything, and still thrive. That kind of energy is irresistible because it shows you're with someone by choice, not because you have nothing else going on. When your world is full, you set a different tone in relationships. You don't tolerate less than effort. You don't settle for half-hearted love. You don't get caught up in overanalyzing because your mind is focused on things that actually matter. A high-value man wants a partner, not a project. He's not looking for someone to fix, complete, or rescue. He's looking for someone who can stand beside him, confident in who she is, thriving on her own, and ready to build something amazing together. So be that woman. Be the woman who is too busy loving her life to obsess over who is or isn't texting back. The woman who is so fulfilled in her own journey that any man who comes along knows he's witnessing something special. And if he wants in, he'd better step up. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. And if you're constantly pouring your energy into the wrong people, guess what? You're draining yourself before the right ones even have a chance to show up. High-value women know their energy is currency and they spend it wisely. Not everyone deserves access to you. Just because someone shows interest doesn't mean they're worth your time. Just because someone texts you doesn't mean you have to respond. Stop entertaining bare minimum effort. If someone isn't showing up consistently, they don't get a seat at your table. Drama is exhausting, and women who value themselves don't have time for it. They're not getting caught up in mind games, mixed signals, or situationships. They don't chase men who can't make up their minds. If you're confused about where you stand, that's your answer. A high-value woman doesn't argue for her worth. She doesn't beg for someone to choose her. She doesn't waste her energy trying to turn a lukewarm connection into something it's not. If a man wants to be in her life, he'll make it clear. And if he doesn't, she moves on without hesitation. The biggest energy drain? Trying to fix emotionally unavailable men. Listen, you are not his therapist, his savior, or his mother. If he's not ready for a healthy relationship, that's not your problem to solve. Protect your peace and let him do his own work. You can't attract a healthy, loving relationship when you're emotionally exhausted from chasing after the wrong ones. Energy is everything. When you're depleted, you settle. When you're thriving, you attract better. Your vibe speaks before you do, so guard it. Women who prioritize their energy are selective. They don't say yes out of guilt. They don't engage in toxic cycles. They don't keep space open for people who have already shown they're not capable of meeting their standards. They choose wisely. Being a high-value woman isn't about being cold, it's about being intentional. You give your time and attention to people who deserve it. You focus on relationships that reciprocate your energy, not ones that drain you. You know that protecting your peace is an act of self-respect. A man who truly values you will respect your boundaries. He won't play games, waste your time, or expect you to overextend yourself to prove your worth. He'll match your effort, bring clarity instead of confusion, and make you feel safe, not exhausted. So, pay attention. How do you feel after spending time with someone? Do you feel energized, valued, and respected, or drained, anxious, and second-guessing yourself? Your energy is a gift. Stop giving it to people who don't deserve it. Feminine strength is not about being weak. It's about knowing when to stand firm and when to flow. It's the ability to be soft without being a pushover and strong without being hardened. A high-value woman walks that line effortlessly. Confidence doesn't have to be loud. A woman who leads with feminine strength doesn't demand respect. She commands it through her presence, her poise, and the way she carries herself. She doesn't need to prove herself. She just is. The strongest women aren't the ones yelling the loudest or trying to control everything. They're the ones who own their emotions instead of being controlled by them. They know that real power is in staying calm, grounded, and unshaken by external chaos. Being feminine doesn't mean being naive. A woman in her power sees through manipulation, games, and half-hearted effort. She doesn't chase, she doesn't beg, and she doesn't tolerate anyone who doesn't add to her peace. She trusts herself enough to walk away when necessary. Emotional intelligence is a game changer. A woman with feminine strength doesn't react impulsively, she responds with intention. She doesn't let insecurities dictate her actions. She speaks with clarity, listens with understanding, and moves with grace. A high-value woman knows that softness is strength. She embraces her nurturing, compassionate side, but never at the expense of her self-respect. She loves deeply, but only those who earn it. She gives, but not to people who take advantage. Feminine strength is about knowing your power without needing to overpower others. It's walking into a room and turning heads not because you demand attention, but because your energy speaks louder than words. It's being magnetic without trying too hard. A woman in her feminine power is never desperate. She doesn't force connections or cling to relationships that don't serve her. She lets things flow, knowing that what's meant for her will align naturally. And if it doesn't, she moves on gracefully. High-value men love women who embody both strength and softness. They don't want a competitor, they want a partner. Someone who can challenge them, support them, and bring peace, not war. A woman who knows how to stand in her power without losing her warmth. The ultimate flex, being secure enough to embrace both sides of yourself. The woman who can take care of herself, but allows a man to lead when appropriate. The woman who is powerful but doesn't need to prove it constantly. That balance. Unstoppable. A high-value woman never chases. She doesn't beg for attention, she doesn't overextend herself, and she definitely doesn't sit around waiting for a man to realize her worth. She knows who she is, and that's enough. The right man will make it clear that he wants you. No mixed signals, no guessing games, no hot and cold nonsense. When a man is genuinely interested, his actions show it consistently. If you're confused, that's your answer. Desperation is the fastest way to lower your value. When you chase, you're sending the message that you don't believe you're worth being pursued. That's not attractive. Confidence, self-respect, and having a full life, that's what draws high-value men in. Women who attract don't waste energy trying to convince someone to see their worth. They show up as their best selves, and if a man recognizes it, great. If he doesn't, that's his loss. She's not losing sleep over someone who can't see what's right in front of them. A high-value woman knows that when you chase, you settle. You start accepting half-hearted effort, you make excuses for bad behavior, and you tolerate things you shouldn't at all because you're trying to hold on to something that isn't choosing you fully. No more. She trusts that what's meant for her will come to her naturally. She doesn't manipulate, force, or control. She just is. And that effortless confidence, that's the exact energy that pulls in the right man while repelling the wrong ones. She doesn't overgive to prove she's worthy. She doesn't drop her standards to keep a man around. She lets him show up first, and only then does she meet his energy. If he's inconsistent, if he's not putting in effort, if he's unsure, she steps back. Attraction is about energy, and a woman who values herself radiates confidence. She doesn't need constant validation. She's not scrolling through her phone, overanalyzing his texts. She's living her life knowing that the right man will step up or step aside. A high-value man doesn't want to be chased. He wants to feel like he earned you. He respects a woman who chooses herself first and isn't afraid to walk away if she's not being valued. That's the kind of woman who stands out. So, stop chasing, stop proving, stop waiting. Be the prize. The man who truly deserves you will recognize your value, and when he does, you won't have to question it. A high-value woman never abandons herself for a relationship. She doesn't press pause on her dreams, shrink her ambitions, or lose sight of her personal growth just because a man enters the picture. She was whole before him, and she'll be whole with or without him. She knows that love is an addition, not a destination. A great relationship is meant to enhance her life, not become her life. She's not looking for someone to complete her. She's already complete. A man who joins her journey is a partner, not a savior. Too many women get into relationships and suddenly forget who they are. They stop going after their goals, stop prioritizing their passions, and start molding themselves into what they think their partner wants. That's a mistake, because the moment you lose yourself, you lose your power. A high-value woman stays focused on her path. She keeps building, keeps evolving, and keeps chasing what lights her up. A man who truly values her doesn't feel threatened by that. He's inspired by it. He doesn't try to change her. He supports her. She never dims her light to make a man more comfortable. If he's intimidated by her drive, her independence, or her ambition, that's his insecurity to deal with, not her problem to fix. The right man will admire her strength, not be scared of it. When a woman stays on her own path, she attracts a partner who is also on a mission. Two strong, purpose-driven people coming together create something powerful. But it only works if both are secure enough to allow the other to shine fully. She doesn't compromise her vision for someone else's comfort. She doesn't push her dreams to the side to make room for a man's ego. She understands that the right relationship will never require her to sacrifice herself. It will only push her to grow further. Independence isn't about rejecting love, it's about having balance. She makes space for love, but never at the expense of her own fulfillment. She's not afraid to say, "I love you, but my purpose still comes first," and a strong man respects that. She stays committed to becoming the best version of herself for herself. She's not waiting for a man to give her a life worth living. She's already creating it, and when the right one comes along, he fits into the picture without making her erase the masterpiece she's been painting all along. The lesson: never abandon your path for love. The right person won't ask you to. They'll walk beside you, cheering you on, adding to your life, not taking from it. Words are easy, anyone can say the right thing, but a high-value woman, she doesn't fall for lip service. She knows that true intention is revealed through consistent action, not empty promises. A man who truly values you will make it clear through his behavior. He won't leave you guessing, wondering, or questioning where you stand. If he says he cares, he'll show up. If he says he wants you in his life, he'll make space for you. High-value women don't entertain men who are hot one day, cold the next. They don't justify inconsistency, they don't make excuses, and they definitely don't stick around for potential. A man's actions today are a reflection of who he is, not who he could be. Consistency isn't just about texting every day, it's about showing up when it matters, keeping promises, and making an effort without being asked. If he's only reliable when it's convenient for him, that's not effort, that's bare minimum energy. A high-value woman doesn't ask a man to prove his love, she simply watches how he moves. If his words and actions don't align, she doesn't argue, beg, or overanalyze. She just believes his actions and adjusts accordingly. She doesn't settle for men who play games. If he's interested, he'll show it. If he's invested, he'll be consistent. If he's serious, he won't risk losing her by being careless. Anything less than that, not worth her time. Excuses don't impress her. She's heard them all before. I've just been busy. I didn't want to rush things, or you know how I feel about you. None of that matters. What matters is effort, reassurance, showing up. She holds herself to a high standard, and she expects the same in return. If he's inconsistent, distracted, or half-hearted in his approach, she doesn't waste time trying to fix him. She simply steps back and lets him reveal whether or not he's truly ready for her. A real man knows that consistency isn't a chore, it's a privilege. It's an honor to show up for a woman of value. And the ones who recognize that, they don't leave room for doubt. The bottom line: consistency is love in action, and a high-value woman. She doesn't settle for anything less. A high-value woman knows that receiving is just as powerful as giving. She doesn't block her blessings by insisting she can do it all alone. She allows love, kindness, and support to flow into her life without guilt, without resistance, without apology. Strong doesn't mean doing everything yourself. It doesn't mean rejecting help to prove your independence. A confident woman knows that letting a man give, protect, and provide isn't weakness. It's allowing him to step into his masculine energy and show up for her. A high-value man wants to give. He wants to contribute, to provide, to make her life easier. Not because he thinks she needs him, but because he values her and wants to add to her happiness. When she accepts his effort with grace, it deepens the connection. She doesn't block love with phrases like, "I got it, I don't need anything," or "I can handle it myself." Of course she can, but that's not the point. She deserves to receive. She lets a man be a man without feeling like it threatens her independence. Receiving isn't about dependence, it's about trust. It's trusting that she is worthy of being loved, cared for, and supported. It's believing that the right man wants to give to her and allowing him to do so without hesitation. She doesn't feel guilty when a man does something nice for her. She doesn't downplay her worth or brush off compliments. She accepts them fully because she knows she's deserving of effort, of care, of devotion. She understands that in a healthy relationship, giving and receiving are balanced. She pours into her partner in her own way, but she also lets herself be poured into. She's not trying to outgive him or prove she can do more. She simply allows love to flow both ways. A woman who knows how to receive makes a man feel valued. She doesn't make him feel unnecessary or useless. She makes him feel appreciated, and that fuels his desire to show up even more. It creates a cycle of giving, receiving, and deepening connection. She is grateful, but she never feels indebted. She knows that when a man gives to her, it's because he wants to, not because he expects something in return. She lets the exchange be natural, effortless, and free of guilt. The lesson: you don't have to prove your strength by rejecting love. You don't have to do it all alone. Allow yourself to receive with grace, because the right man, he won't see your ability to accept love as a weakness. He'll see it as an invitation to love you even more. Everything starts with belief. If you don't believe you deserve the best, you'll accept whatever shows up. A high-value woman doesn't wait for someone else to validate her worth. She decides she's worthy first. She doesn't second-guess herself. She doesn't shrink to make others comfortable. She walks with certainty, knowing that the way she sees herself sets the tone for how others will treat her. If she holds herself to high standards, the world rises to meet her. Confidence isn't about being perfect. It's about trusting that you are enough exactly as you are. A woman who believes in herself doesn't settle for half-hearted effort, bare minimum love, or relationships that make her question her value. She knows better. You attract what you believe you deserve. If you think you have to earn love, you'll chase it. If you think good men are rare, you'll tolerate bad behavior. If you think no one will meet your standards, you'll lower them. It all starts in your mind. A high-value woman isn't afraid to walk alone. She'd rather wait for the right man than waste time on the wrong one. She's not desperate. She's not searching. She's building her best life, trusting that the right person will align with her when the time is right. She doesn't just demand excellence and love. She applies it everywhere. Her career, her health, her mindset, her friendships. She holds herself to a higher standard in all areas. She's not looking for a man to complete her. She's looking for someone who matches her level. She understands that high-value men are also selective. A man who is ambitious, confident, and self-assured isn't looking for someone who doubts herself. He's drawn to a woman who moves with certainty, who knows her worth, who isn't waiting for someone to choose her, because she's already chosen herself. There's a difference between wanting love and needing it. A high-value woman wants a great relationship, but she doesn't need one to feel whole. She builds a life so fulfilling that a man is simply a bonus, not the foundation of her happiness. She doesn't beg, she doesn't chase, she doesn't settle. She embodies the energy of someone who is already winning. And that energy, that's what attracts a high-value man, because he sees her and he knows she's a woman who won't accept anything less than extraordinary. So here's the truth. The love you believe you deserve is the love you will accept. Raise the standard. Believe in yourself first and watch how everything around you shifts. Here's the truth. It all starts with you. The way you see yourself, the standards you hold, the energy you bring into every room, you set the tone. High-value men aren't looking for someone to complete them. They're drawn to women who are already whole. Women who own their worth, set boundaries, and refuse to settle for anything less than they deserve. You don't attract a high-value man by chasing, overgiving, or proving your worth. You do it by being the kind of woman who naturally commands respect and admiration. A woman who is confident, self-assured, and secure in what she brings to the table. One who isn't afraid to walk away from anything that doesn't align with her standards. The women who attract extraordinary love are the ones who have extraordinary love for themselves first. They believe in their worth, they live with purpose, and they expect consistency. They aren't afraid to receive, and they sure as hell don't settle for breadcrumbs. Their energy says, I know what I bring, and I'll wait for the man who sees it too. At the end of the day, it's not about finding a high-value man, it's about becoming the kind of woman who effortlessly attracts one. When you focus on your growth, your happiness, and your standards, the right man will recognize your value, and the wrong ones, they'll weed themselves out. So, stop waiting. Stop second-guessing. Stop accepting less than you deserve. Step into your power, own your worth, and watch what happens. Because when you hold yourself to a higher standard, everything in your life, including the people you attract, rises to meet you.